Hello and welcome to my new video series that I've created to answer 3 questions. Number 1, what is a hybrid event? Number 2, how do you plan for a hybrid event? And number 3, how do you create a great hybrid event experience? But before we go into the details, let me introduce myself. My name's Luke Bowden and I'm the Director of BA Events. We are the end-to-end event business focused on working with the transport industry to bring people and ideas together. I remember the first event I ever ran. There was about 80 people and we all sat in this room with a low ceiling, and there was these pillars that if you were an unlucky attendee blocked your view. We had a series of presenters that all stood in front of the screen with a projector shining against their head. They each spoke for 30 minutes and then we shuffled the 80 people into another room where they had a few cheap sandwiches and packets of crisps. That was quite a few years ago now, and I think we can all agree that if we went to an event like that today, we wouldn't be leaving particularly positive reviews. But why do I tell you this story? Well, to understand hybrid events and what they are, we need to take a step back in time. Take your mind back to pre-2020, the year where everything changed. If we were invited to an event, we would expect there to be a venue which you'd travel to and you'd sit in a room with other people. Over the last 12 months, during COVID, if we were invited to an event, we'd expect there to be an online location, there'd be no need to travel anywhere, and you could watch, perhaps engaging in a chat, a Q&A, or virtual breakout rooms. But let me ask you what you enjoy about live events. If it's like me, it's being able to meet new people and enjoy great hospitality. I know that's what I enjoy. And then what do you enjoy about virtual events? Perhaps it's not having to travel, being able to join at home with your slippers and being able to hop on and hop off throughout the day. Well, what if I was to tell you that there's a way of combining the benefits of both live and online events? Yeah, there is, and that's hybrid. So what is hybrid and what does it actually look like? Well, the best way to explain it is it's one event with one audience, but they're split over 2 different venues, a physical venue and also an online venue. But hybrid events are not new. There's been many organisers doing a great job at creating hybrid events for many years. But what's changed, of course, is there's been a growing demand by people as a result of the pandemic, and also great new technology that's developed at an incredible pace that's brought hybrid events into many people's reach and ultimately their budget. So let's look at the pros and cons. First, looking at the pros of hybrid events. There are 3 core positives in my mind to hybrid events. The first is that you can reach a much wider audience and improves accessibility. The second is it helps the planet. And the third is that it helps well-being. Let's look at the first one. If you run a hybrid event, that can really allow you to increase your audience. One of the questions that I love asking attendees that have been coming to our virtual events over the last 12 months is, if this event was to be in person, would you have come today? And although there are certainly some attendees who would have loved to come on a trip from Scotland down to London for an event, there are equally some that wouldn't have attended if it wasn't for it being online. This could either be because of the pressures of their job, other commitments around the event date, or perhaps not having the budget to travel. If you do an online event, this really opens up the amount of people that are able to access your event. It provides the ability for people that want the online experience to get it, and also for the people that want to join virtually to come to the virtual event. Another possibility of hybrid events is that you can promote the event during the event whilst it's actually happening and get people to come along to the online event. And we'll talk about that more in a later chapter. Number 2, it helps with the planet. We need to take drastic action to save our planet. There's no way to hide it. Transport is one of the biggest contributors to greenhouse gases. Cars and vans make up 1/5 of the UK emissions, so ensuring we reduce and pick sustainable transport modes when going to events is going to be key. We need to ensure that we plan events in the future that are sustainable, and sustainability is at the top of our agenda. We're not wasteful, and we try to optimise technology to make planet-friendly decisions. Number 3, any person will know that an event will really does help mental health. We have a mental health crisis underway at the moment, and people are really missing social interaction. And social interaction is something that we can get from events. Events create a great opportunity for people to get together, laugh together, and enjoy each other's company. But for all these positives, there are, of course, some negatives and things you need to consider when doing a hybrid event. The first one is that the resources and budget required may be higher. The second is that although this can be resolved through good planning, engagement is usually lower from your online attendees. And number three is that you don't build such rich relationships. The first one to talk about is resource and budget. You can you can achieve some pretty incredible things, as we all know, with little budget. But resource and budget is always going to be something to consider when running a hybrid event. And there are many things available and many technologies available if you have limited amount of cash. And we talk about that later. There are, though, some additional costs to consider with hybrid events, such as production teams and the platform that you use to deliver the event. We're going to be talking about this a little bit later, but there are some great advances and softwares that can help you create a great hybrid event. The second thing to consider is engagement. I'm prepared to admit it, AFK, away from keyboard. Sitting at home and that Amazon delivery comes, it's a pair of new trainers, you open them up, you run up and down the street a few times, you take a picture for your Instagram, and then you realise, I'm meant to be watching an event, oh no, I've got distracted. So that does happen. Away from keyboard is something you have to consider when you're running hybrid events. There are certainly things you can do to engage your audience and make sure they're participating in the same way as the people are in your actual room. Get people involved and hear their voices at home. And the final thing to point out, which I really want to draw attention to, is relationships. We've discovered some fantastic ways that work can be done over the last 12 months and you can build relationships online. I've certainly met some people and built relationships over the last 12 months online. But if your goal for an event is to build trust, confidence, and generate engagement from a team, an in-person event is the way to go. And you might lose that from the online part of a hybrid event. Today we're going to be exploring how you can plan for a hybrid event. But before we go any further, I need to be clear with you. This video is aimed for people that want to run a really great hybrid event. Now that doesn't mean you have to have the biggest budget in the world. But preparation is key. That's the key thing, preparation. When I was a young 15-year-old boy, I used to love athletics and running. I remember watching a documentary about Sebastian Coe. And in this documentary, he said that large work is largely done off the track, in training and in preparation, so that when you arrive on the day, all the preparation is done and the building blocks are in place for success. That philosophy is something I've always carried through with me into my career in events. So stop watching this video if you're not prepared to put the work in before the day, because this episode is aimed for people that want to create really great hybrid events. The key to all events is having a series of clear goals and objectives. An event takes place after hours of preparation and hard work. So ensuring you know exactly what you want to achieve is key. And of course, reviewing those objectives at the end of the project is also really important. Once you have those objectives set out, it's clear that you need to have a clear scope. You need to have a really clear scope that you write out. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I want you to remember, because in this video, it's key. And if you remember nothing else except for this one thing, then I'm going to see this video as a success. And that is to develop a clear scope. I'll say it again. Develop a clear scope. Ensuring you sketch out at the start of the process everything you want to achieve is key. The reality is that hybrid events require more logistics than you've ever probably delivered before, to be honest, with your normal events. And planning is key to do that. So really do remember this. You need to think about costs, and you need to make sure that all of the costs are factored in. And we're going to help you do that and talk about that at the end of the video. So write down everything step by step, thinking about everything that the attendees will need to do and they'll need to receive throughout the event process. All events have budgets to work towards, and the reason that setting a clear scope is important is to help inform your budget. Now, when developing the budget, the base of your budget is off two things, of course. It's knowledge and it's assumptions. The knowledge part comes from the experience, either yours or asking people or researching. And the assumptions part comes from calculations that are made through logic. Ensuring that when you think about your budget, you consider the following areas are key. Management time, if you're working with an agency, marketing costs, your virtual event platform, your physical venue, your audio-visual requirements, your streaming costs, any additional catering requirements, any printed materials, travel, overnight stay and subsistence, and of course you need to think about all of this in an itemised way to allow you to have a clear scope. Ensuring you leave no stone unturned when you're doing your scoping is key, and ensuring that you write out everything you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it, and the costs associated with that. Now remember, a hybrid event has two venues, an online venue and a physical venue. The online venue holds your virtual attendees and the physical venue holds your in-person attendees. Yeah, real people. And you need to think about both of these venues and pick them very carefully. So let's start talking about the physical venue. So we're all very used to booking venues for events, and there are requirements we're all used to, whether that's lighting, breakout spaces, good food of course, and being near a good transport interchange, just to name a few. But there's some more that you want to think about when you're planning a hybrid event. Are you able to get access to a wired network? Is there a guest Wi-Fi to allow your audience to interact with your online attendees? Is there plenty space for your production crew? Is the venue able to give you access to the room early so you can prepare? What accessibility considerations have the venue taken? Do you have the ability to control the lighting? Let's take a look at all of these in more detail. Streaming your event using a guest Wi-Fi, even though the venue might say it's reliable, is not a good idea. To ensure reliability, access to a wide network is key. A production company will be able to give you advice on exactly what is required from the venue. However, if you're doing it yourself, make sure you stick to this as a compulsory item to the venue in the venue spec, a wired network. Some venues will charge you a premium price to allow you to have access to a wired network, and you might have to pay more to have access to a technician, but trust me, this is a good investment. When we deliver events, we arrive at the venue and the first thing that we check is the internet connection, ensuring the speeds are what you were promised and resolve any issues that you may find yourself having. We're going to discuss some fantastic tools available to allow your online audience to engage with your in-person audience. But to enable them to do this effectively, they need access to free Wi-Fi, and your attendees need to be able to access free Wi-Fi. Now, although some people might say, well, all of my attendees will have 4G, don't make that assumption, because you want your event to be as accessible and inclusive as possible. Now, depending on the proportions of your hybrid event and how many people you have in the room and how many people you have online, you may decide to have 50% at home and 50% in the room, or perhaps you might have a 10% smaller VIPs in the room and the remainder at home. Whatever you decide, make sure there is plenty room for your speakers and for your attendees and for your event production team. A common mistake people make when booking venues is timings. Although you might say you're starting at 9 a.m, and you might want to get into the venue, maybe for midday the next day to allow you to prepare. And this needs to be considered because it could impact the venue availability and also the cost of your overall venue. Now, I'm passionate about accessibility, and I've been fortunate to work with clients on the deliverability of events for a range of different people with different disabilities. And ensuring you make adjustments so your event is accessible is really compulsory. And make sure that you're thinking about all the different types of access needs your attendees might have and review if the venue is able to support. Something people forget is lighting. It's important that you have lighting you control in your venue, and this allows you to ensure that your production team are able to get the right lighting when streaming your event. Now we've covered the physical space, let's look at the virtual venue. Now there are two options when delivering a hybrid event. The first is to have a custom solution, and the second is to use an off-the-shelf platform. I say off-the-shelf, but some of them are brilliant and have a great level of customization. So what's the difference? A custom solution is where you build something for your needs. This usually requires you having a website, and this website you customize to feel for the look and feel of your event. Then organisers will usually use a trusted software such as Vimeo or YouTube or other players to allow you to stream the event, and an audience interaction tool such as Slido. If you don't want to create your own platform, you might want to consider using an off-the-shelf platform, examples of which are platforms like Hopin, BigMarker and Eventry, and they've been used to deliver thousands of great events over the last 12 months, and they're all set up to deliver hybrid events. So do some research and find out which one's best for you. And there's a few things to remember when you're doing that research. Number one is, can you stream to the software? Number two is, can your in-person audience interact with your online audience? Next is, do you want your online audience to have breakout rooms? And you want to think about exhibitors and sponsors. And then the final thing you want to think about is networking. So let's start with streaming. I'll admit it, streaming can sometimes be a bit complex, and we'd recommend that you outsource this to a production partner if you can. But the basic principle of streaming is taking video from your venue and pushing that to your virtual attendees, usually via RTMP, which stands for Real-Time Messaging Protocol. And it's key that whatever virtual event platform you pick has the ability to receive RTMP. And although you have a physical and a virtual audience, you want them to interact in the same way. So there are virtual platforms out there that allow you to integrate things such as Slido to allow your online audience to interact with your physical one. So think about that. Breakout groups are a great way to allow people to have smaller discussions. And there's a variety of options out there when you're running hybrid events to run your breakout groups. You could simply have your online exclusive breakout groups happening, or you could have a mixture of online and hybrid attendees all working together in one breakout room. If you want to do the latter, have a little think about this and make sure your virtual event software can allow you to do this. We've all been to events where exhibitors are out of sight and out of mind, and you don't want to let this happen for your online attendees. Think about your online venue and allow attendees to obtain information about your exhibitors. This could be through allowing them to watch a pre-recorded video about your exhibitor. It could be through your exhibitor having a virtual exhibition hall where there's someone virtually manning the stand online, if you like. Or if you really wanted to push the boat out, it could be allowing your people in the room, your exhibitors in the room, to video call the people watching online. And the final thing to think about is networking. In my opinion, I think networking is the thing that's been deeply missed from in-person events. But don't worry, there are some fantastic platforms and tools that can allow you to integrate your networking online and in person. There's tools such as Wonder, which is a great piece of software that allows you to do just this and move your avatar into different areas. Have a little think about this, as it's really important. There could also be a speed networking type option, and you never know who you're going to meet. You might meet someone who loves talking about hybrid events, and that'll sure make you want to grab a drink. And the final thing we're going to cover in this chapter is marketing, probably my favourite thing with all events. It gives you the ability to be creative and ultimately persuade people to give up their time to come along to your events. But how can we do this effectively for hybrid events? Well, here is my view. The best marketing is done through carefully crafted words, interesting imagery, and great video. This all creates clicks, and that will go through to your high converting landing page. And at this point, you want to understand where attendees are going to join the event. So I suggest giving your attendees 3 options. Number 1, I want to join in person in Birmingham. Number 2, I want to join virtually. And number 3, put me on your list to come to Birmingham, and I'll confirm nearer the time. This will then generate 3 lists for you. A list of people that absolutely want to come to your event, a list of people that want to join remotely, and a to be confirmed list. Set yourself a maximum limit for the in-person attendees, and as you get closer to the event, start to market to your to be confirmed list, asking them whether they've made their decision about if they want to come in person or join online. You can use tools such as adevent.com to create free diary invites. One which is for the people that want to come to the in-person event, one for those that want to join virtually, and a third one which is for the people that want to confirm closer to the time. Why is this important? Well, it helps you manage your budget, your catering, and ensure that people don't join on the day you weren't expecting, and also that a lot of people don't drop off closer to the time. This approach will make your attendees feel appreciated, and it'll make them feel committed to actually come into the event. Perhaps this isn't important for you if you're delivering an event with little catering requirements, or maybe in a large venue. However, for our clients, we want to ensure we're optimizing every penny of their budget effectively. And this is a great tool to do just that. Now, here is a test for you. What did I say earlier at the start of the video was the most important things? Do you remember? Of course you do, because you're brilliant. The key to any successful hybrid event is carefully planning your scope. Now, because of how important this is, I'm going to give you something to help. I've created the checklist, and this is the ultimate checklist that we use with our clients when scoping out hybrid event requirements. And if you're anything like me, you love checklists and prompts to ensure you don't miss anything. So I'm going to give you access to the ultimate hybrid event checklist, and all you need to do is head over to www.baevents.co.uk/hybrid-checklist. Enter your email and the checklist will come straight over to you. Well, hopefully now you feel ready to start planning your hybrid event and putting all those building blocks in place. Hello and welcome to our final episode in a series focused on how you can deliver great hybrid events. So we're now going to be talking about great hybrid event experiences and how you can provide value to both of your in-person and online audiences. Making the online experience great and ensuring the online attendees don't miss out is key to the success of running any hybrid event. You don't want your online attendees to feel like they're on mute, if you like. This can be done through your online audience, not just watching, but also interacting in the chat. It can be done through your online audience taking part in breakout groups. And it can also be done through allowing your online audience to perhaps appear on a screen to ask questions, and even having remote speakers that join your event virtually. Using a production partner to achieve your objectives of creating a high production quality event is key, and it's a really important thing to do. Don't get me wrong, there are softwares out there and there's hardwares you can invest in that allow you to do a DIY job of your event production. But there are two things to remember. Number one, a static camera at the back of the room won't generate great engagement for your online audience. And number two, you need backups if things go wrong. Some venues will have in-house production teams, and there are plenty of great production teams that will be able to help you with your event. And get in touch with us if you'd like to find out more about the great production that we can offer through our trusted partners. A production team will not just come along to your event and film your event. They're able to use their experience to give you ideas and suggestions about your event. It's worth remembering that as event professionals, we constantly go to events, and we love to come up with new ideas and share them with you to improve the quality of your event. If there's one thing that us events professionals have in common, it's that we love being creative and playing our part in the development of a really fun and interactive event. There are some really interesting tools to help us make our events engaging and interactive. We're going to be showing a few of these tools now as we go through, and there are plenty more available online, but these are just some that we've used and that we know are effective to deliver a great hybrid event experience. Number one is WordPress to develop registration pages and custom landing pages. Number two is ActiveCampaign to automate your event registration and marketing process. Number three is Google Analytics to collect data on your event page. Number four is AdEvent to allow attendees to easily add events to their diary. Number five is Concept Board to create virtual whiteboards. Number six is Wonder to create virtual networking spaces that are not boring. Number 8 is Slido, the audience interaction tool. And number 9 is, of course, Domino's for fantastic post-event pizza. Now, we've picked these tools because we know they're low cost or no cost, and they're really effective for your event. So let's go through them. The first is WordPress. There are plenty of tools available online to allow you to create websites, but WordPress is a great option to create your event registration page and also your actual online venue, your event page. And you can customize the look and feel of your event page to ensure it's within your brand guidelines and it's easy to use. There are plenty of WordPress developers that'll be able to create their landing page for you. And this is something you want to think carefully about. We spend so much time picking the perfect venue for our events, so don't rush your online venue. Ensure it's easy to navigate and has all the information that you require to deliver an accessible event for your attendees. The second is ActiveCampaign. This software really helps us, and it's so much more than just email marketing. It helps us automate our event process. This software is something you need to research and learn the basics to. But you can get around this pretty much in a day and figure it all out. And it's not just used to send confirmation emails, but it allows you to create a series of advanced automations dependent on the actions taken by your attendees. In summary, helping you increase the amount of people that interact in your event before, during, and after. There are a wide range of integrations within ActiveCampaign, allowing you to integrate with other softwares that you might use. The next recommendation is Google Analytics. One thing to remember about your online event is that you want to think about how you're going to pull your analytics. The last thing you want to be in is a situation where you're running a hybrid event, you know exactly who you turned up on the day, but you have no idea who took part on the online event. You can set up forms for people to fill out before entering the event page, and also require passwords to allow people to enter the event. And remember, we discussed in an earlier chapter about how you can deliver and embed a player into your event. Well, some of these players allow you to actually request people's email before they watch the event. And this allows you to collect data about who watched and how they engaged in the event. The next recommendation is Add Event. This is a really simple software, but it makes a real difference to your event. Add Event is a piece of software that allows you to create diary events that you create on their website, and then it gives you a series of options to create an Add Event button, or allows you people to add the event to their diary straight from your emails. Amongst others, this allows you to them to add their event to a Gmail, Outlook, and also their Apple Diary really simply. And this is key from our experience to make sure that attendees are able to join the event easily, because if you don't do this, it really will impact your attendee numbers. The next software is Concept Board. Do you remember the days we used to use sticky notes and post-it notes at workshops? Well, as much as they were really useful, they weren't great for the environment as they cannot be recycled, and they were often thrown in the bin after the event. So the question is, how do you create your in-person audience, allow your in-person audience to brainstorm with your virtual audience? The solution is Concept Board. We've used this for many of our clients, and it's a great way to collaborate on a large virtual whiteboard. We used it recently with a client to create a series of breakout groups who all focused on identifying ideas around a particular theme. We gave each group an area on the whiteboard that was dedicated to them, and then when you zoom out, you can see all of the ideas that everyone in the event was working on. The next piece of software is Wonder. Have you ever tried running networking on apps like Teams and Zoom? It takes quite a lot of effort and usually isn't that effective. The platform's very static, and they don't really lend themselves to attendees moving around and discussing things with who they want to, and talking to people that they want to, and creating groups. But Wonder is perfect because it allows attendees to talk to one another, or as many people as they want in a circle. The interface is really simple. You join from an internet browser, you create an avatar, and you move your avatar around to make conversation with different people in your room. The next piece of software is Slido. Now, we've probably all used Slido for events in the past. However, Slido is really developed as a product, and it can now be used for hybrid events. And you can create an event within Slido for Q&As, polls, quizzes, word clouds, and much more. And then what you can do is this Slido link can be accessed from your in-person audience via a code or a QR code you put on the screen, and it can be accessed for your online audience through a widget that you can embed next to your player on your event page. You can create a series of breakout room discussions within Slido too. And the final thing is Domino's, a well-deserved pizza after your event. We're nearly finished with our introduction to hybrid events. But I want to finish talking about what I think is the key benefit to hybrid events. With a purely in-person event, you usually stop taking bookings for the event about a week before, maybe more. This is because you need to provide latest numbers to your venue, or you need to submit dietary requirements. However, the beauty of hybrid events is that this isn't a problem. You can get people to sign up when your event's happening at the very last minute. So make sure that when you're delivering your hybrid event, you have a social media coordinator perhaps, taking photos and videos and posting these straight online. This will encourage people to join your event whilst it's happening. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you found these 3 chapters useful, and I hope you now understand what a hybrid event is, how you can plan for a hybrid event, and how you can deliver a great hybrid event. There is, of course, lots of things I didn't get a chance to cover in these videos, so if there's anything that you think we can help with here at BA Events, then please get in touch. You can contact me by emailing me, and my email is luke@baevents.co.uk. We specialise in working with our clients to take their event from the very concept all the way through to delivery, so please get in touch if we can help you. I'm really excited about the future of events, and I hope you are too. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you very soon.